In our most recent presidential election, instead of the first woman, we elected the 44th upper-class white man as president. But surprisingly, there is still a historic first with his election. And no, I'm not going to take a cheap shot and say he's the first orange hate goblin or the first demon from a half-completed summoning ritual involving a pig scrotum and gorilla bile, or even the first 10 pounds of sentient dog shit stuffed in a 5-pound bag elected president. No. I'm going to say something indisputably factual. Donald J. Trump is the very first WWE Hall of Famer to be elected president.
Vince and I have had an amazing relationship.
Hi, I'm Christian Ramirez, and I know more about professional wrestling than I do about the financing plan that I'm using to pay off my car. Is that problematic for me? Probably. So let's make a silly internet video so I can pay off the principal APR or something. Finances. In 2013, Donald Trump was inducted into the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame. And as with most celebrity inductees, he was probably the weak link of the class. The other inductees were Trish Stratus, maybe the greatest female wrestler of the modern era, Bob Backlund, one of the longest reigning champions of the era immediately preceding Hulkamania, Booker T, one of the greatest wrestlers of the Monday Night Wars with the individual and tag team championships to prove it, Mick Foley, the king of the deathmatch in Japan, and the hardcore legend that helped the WWE beat the WCW in the Monday Night Wars, and finally Bruno Sammartino, a wrestler whose combined world title reigns total over 11 years, one being 8 years long. Next to these, Trump's wrestling accomplishments of hosting 2 of the worst WrestleManias and helping shave Vince McMahon's head are unimpressive, to put it lightly. Look, I may not be the resident presidential expert, but even I can see that there are at least a few presidents whose talents could have been applied to the squared circle. So here's 7. People can be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as individuals or as groups, and that's further broken down with wrestlers and managers as individuals and tag teams and stables as groups. My first pick would definitely be a manager on the level of Paul Heyman, Classy Freddie Blassie, or Jimmy Hart. I'm talking about the Sphinx, the boss, the Squire of Hyde Park himself, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. FDR was the longest serving president of the United States, being elected to the office for 4 consecutive terms. He was a great speaker and organizer and leader, all great qualities for a wrestling manager. Imagine him going head to head with Eric Bischoff in the NWO. Mr. Bischoff, you and your thugs in the New World Order have terrorized the WCW for long enough. So I've got a new deal for you and every WCW fanatic out there. The New Deal Coalition. Oh my God, it's Sting! It's Sting, DDP, the Giant, and Lex Luger! What are they doing here? I would pay money to see that. Lots of money. And I'm sure with his ability to reach out to the common people and labor unions, he would be a great hero or babyface manager to go up against the Vince McMahons, the Bobby Heenans, or the Ted DiBiase's of any era. Herbert, the great engineer Hoover, would be the perfect villain or heel to rival FDR. He was a self-made millionaire from his investments in mining around the world, and is even quoted as saying, "If a man has not made $1 million by the time he is 40, he is not worth much." Holy shit. I'm pretty sure either Ted DiBiase or JBL, both actual millionaire heel characters, probably use that line in a promo. And like DiBiase and JBL, Hoover wouldn't just talk trash, he'd get in the ring. As Dan Bossman O'Brien has mentioned before, to stay in shape, Hoover played a sport called Hoover ball, which is essentially volleyball played with a goddamn medicine ball. Finally, his finishing move would obviously be a submission called the Hoover Dam, which would probably be similar to the Walls of Jericho. By God, he's got him in the Hoover Dam! He'll break his back! Business has just powered up! These 3, Andrew Old Hickory Jackson, James Young Hickory Polk, and Martin Van Ruin, dominated the presidency for 16 years between them in the mid-1800s. So much so that their policies and style of governance has become known as Jacksonian democracy. So they'd definitely be able to do the same thing with wrestling, much like the stable of D-Generation X and their influence on the Attitude Era. DX was the most popular stable at the time in the WWF, and if you're my age, you remember them constantly telling everybody to suck it. The leader of this stable would clearly be Jackson, and if you could get him to not kill his opponents, he'd make a terrifying heel. He got the nickname Old Hickory not because of his dick, although side note, those Hickory nicknames would definitely also be used for a dick joke in wrestling, but because of the Hickory cane he carried around to use to beat people. Much like the also terrifying Triple H, a founding member of DX who instead of a cane, uses a sledgehammer. And sometimes Kane. He was part of DX for a minute and was recently one of Trips' henchmen as Corporate Kane. Back on track. While DX's policies of telling people to suck it if they're not down with them are more fun than the Jacksonian policies that led to the Trail of Tears and the expansion of slavery into Texas, you can definitely see the 3 presidents beating the crap out of people with sticks. And hell, a finishing move called Manifest Destiny is at least as good as the pedigree. By God, Polk just hit mankind with that hickory cane, and now Van Roo with the top rope elbow. For the love of God, what the hell is this? Now Jackson's in the ring, and here it is, Manifest Destiny. Damn it, damn these men to hell. Look, this is an internet video about presidents, so we knew this was coming. But really, Teddy, the lion, the bull moose, the Rough Rider Roosevelt is perfect. A macho bastard of a man who was a sickly child born to rich parents, his exploits read like a guide to 19th century masculinity. He was a great orator, and the toughest SOB on the campaign trail. He could easily have led a stable called the Rough Riders because, come on, that's too easy, into the Hall of Fame. Or be inducted as an individual, because here's the kicker, he actually enjoyed judo, boxing, and wrestling. So much so that when he was governor of New York, he bought a wrestling mat for the governor's mansion and trained with the American middleweight wrestling champion for fun. So yes, I could definitely see him pulling a Ric Flair and being inducted as both a part of a group and individually. Because remember, Dusty Rhodes, when you come to my house at Madison Square Garden, it's gonna take more than a bionic elbow to stop a bull moose. But when I hit the Trust Buster, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, woo! Abraham, Honest Abe, the Ancient One, the Great Emancipator Lincoln, is already in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. This is true. Feel free to go look it up. I'll wait. Holy right? For those of you who didn't look, here are a couple of the highlights. Standing at 6'4", Lincoln is obviously already impressive. And over a span of 12 years, which included 300 matches, he lost once. Once. That is a better record than any wrestler I can think of. That is a 99.6 win percentage. When he was 19, he defended his brother's river barge from thugs by picking them up and throwing them overboard. He once challenged a crowd after winning a match by saying, and this is real, "I'm the big buck of this lick, and if any of you want to try it, come on and wet your horns." Oh my God, that is better wrestling trash talk than half of the guys in WWE right now. I started writing this as a joke, and now I legitimately want President Lincoln in the WWE Hall of Fame. Ball's in your court, WWE, or ring. Oh, and one of his nicknames was the Rail Splitter. So that would obviously be the name of his finishing move. And speaking of nicknames, while researching this, I stumbled upon a list of presidents' nicknames, so here are the ones that would fit best in wrestling in a lightning round. Or in this case, a WCW Thunder round. Yeah, that is a dumb joke for me and like 5 viewers. Thunder Round! The Colossus of Independence, the Man of the People, that's almost already one. Old Man Elquin, the Master Spirit, Old Rough and Ready, Handsome Frank, Old Buck, 10 Cent Jimmy, the Tennessee Tailor, Boatman Jim, Gentleman Boss, Walrus, that is already one. Uncle Jumbo, the Human Iceberg, Big Chief, the Schoolmaster, Landslide Linden, Tricky Dick, Mr. Nice Guy, Poppy, Bubba, Slick Willie, and the Big Dog. Whew. Thanks for watching. This has been Everything is Wrestling, and I really need somebody to explain credit to me using professional wrestling's attitude era. Like, is Paul Bearer like a mortgage guy? Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Why don't you tell me what other presidents should be in the WWE Hall of Fame? Like, which ones are which wrestlers? But look, don't you dare tell me that Diamond Dallas Page is any of them, because he's a hero. He saved Jake the Snake's life, and